centers existing in rural India should become a business correspondent. Why business correspondent? Because they realize that the state objective and state, one of the policy imperatives is that they must enable the citizen to avail basic banking services at the nearest location, and CSC fits into the model. And that's why, though we signed agreement, but we knew the constraints of the agreement. The agreement does not allow us that suddenly one day all the CSCs will become. And that is why we actively started pursuing the banks in order to start the process. I think we now got about few bankers in our roles, retired bankers, so that we can facilitate the process of dialogue with the banks and then try and activate most of the CSCs to become BC. Our interactions, various levels. See, so far what we have done is so far about 22,000 to the CSCs, the application we submitted to various banks. Only 5,000 approximately has become activated in saying that what the process is called KO code allocation, and 4,000 odd has started transacting across the country. Not a great story, because I think our whole ambition, we are too ambitious when we sign agreement. We want to make 100,000 to the CSCs to become BC. We do understand the limitations of bank, but we also understand that if you really want to serve the rural community and make banking accessible to them, CSC is a better alternative as compared to any others. For the banks today, our interaction shows, see, it has become like a target-oriented project. I think we never realized that we don't want the bank to really see it from perspective of saying fulfilling a target. I have some 2,000 CSCs areas to be covered, I'll put 2,000. I have 1,000 to be covered, I'll cover 1,000. I have this area approach, and therefore I will do this. I think in the words of not ours, in the first workshop we organized in Delhi when the SBI people came, it is from their perspective. SBI said, they also have, State Bank India said, they also have BCs across the country in various spectrum. For them, the CSC appears to be the best model. A kiosk-based banking model appears to be best for serving rural community. And a comprehensive model, because BC standalone has its own limitation in terms of financial viability, and therefore they see that as a perspective. The second point which the State Bank of India has actually said was that not only they becomes a better alternative, they also a huge business opportunity for the banking community. In the first year, according to the SBI, it's their statement, that according to their estimation, when they started the BC movement, their first year turnover was only 500 crore. The second year it became some 2,000 crores. In the third year, they're going to have 15,000 crore. So it's a business opportunity for banks. And I'm sure if banks looks this as a business opportunity, the whole approach to CSC become BC get redefined in different format. I think it's an opportunity. Those who works in banks and spending some time in the finance ministry for about 8 years in dealing with the banks, I'll understand, at least the banks from the liability side of the balance sheet, it's a huge opportunity. There are, if you want to enhance the liability side of the balance sheet in a bank, rural India is a huge potential for you, because it gives you a huge opportunity. And you can take the liability side of the balance sheet from rural India and create asset in the urban area where there's demand for loans. So it's a win-win for banks. I think this is one area which we want to discuss and explain to them. Kindly, for God's sake, don't treat this as a project. Don't think saying it's a target given to you by Reserve Bank on some 2,000 population, 5,000 population. It is, please take it as an opportunity for business. Once you take it as an opportunity for business, and then also with the perspective that rural customer, such a large population uncovered and not having banking after such a large number of years of independence, does not speak good of all of us, despite having nationalized bank in 1970 and 1981. Despite that, we have a problem. Despite all that, we still have a long way to go. CSCs can fill the vacuum to a great extent if we understand the CSC is a business opportunity banking community, and therefore do it. This is for banks. What do they do for CSC for a good? See, in the Common Service Center scheme, which was designed by Government of India and set up for 1 in 6 in equitable manner geographically across the country, a lot of debates happened, discussion took place, and a lot of things people said. Already existing center was studied and a comprehensive design model was evolved, saying that standalone systems in rural India, whether it's an ITC eChopal or you have some other organization like only for government service delivery, Gyandoot in Madhya Pradesh, does not hold sustainability in a longer perspective. And that's why I said you must have a system which will not only address the issues of of G2C, but also address the issues of B2C and enable community to derive power and knowledge, information, and the skill development. I think this, in that perspective, when the scheme were designed, there were two areas which were identified. One is called the push factor and the pull factor. See, the pull factor is what the community will get attracted to the CSC. Many people say that, look, I don't see any CSCs across, but I'm sure with 1,26,000 CSC across the country, if you go across with the objective of identifying CSC, you will come across some CSC, because I've seen some people saying, look, I went to the location, I didn't find anything, and there were only CSCs existing. So the pull factor, one are what? What are the services which are pull factor? Which are the main focus? G2C is a pull factor. Government to citizen services delivery through CSC is a pull factor. It does not enable generation of income for a CSC. See, our studies have shown, our examples, and that's how the model was designed. G2C is not an income generation enabler. It is only a community pulling factor for CSCs. Business cost fund for bank is also a pull factor. It's a pull factor for CSCs. And similarly, UID activity is a pull factor. Or election-related tax is a pull factor. Anything related to government is actually a pull factor. The push factor theory, the education is an income generation activity. And that's why some of the good stories of CSCs across the country actually come from the education, those who run education services. The margins are higher, the community gets empowered, the involvement is large, and therefore sustainability is what it is. ISECT in Madhya Pradesh is a classic example, or BASIC somewhere has done it. Those who have done education as a service, there's a phenomenal, though there's a push factor, but there's the income generation activity. The point I just wanted to mention, BC for CSC ecosystem is actually a pull factor. It will involve the community to come to the center and therefore use that infrastructure created for getting information, knowledge, skill. The large objective of the CSC scheme, as envisaged in the Government of India scheme of thing, is to empower communities. And empower communities by what? See, how do you empower a community? By giving information and knowledge and therefore skill, and address issues which are otherwise prevalent. Not that these cannot be done other thing. I think the technology and the connectivity has made it become a game changer. And therefore, it enables community to derive what maximum can do it. There have been also issues, some people say CSC look like a shop, but actually CSC were designed in that format. The CSC were designed in the format of a shop. It's a village community, does not look into CSC as a government office. It looks like a CSC. See, common service centers, a scheme are designed that it's a private enterprise which government will use for delivery of services. It is never used as a government enterprise which private sector will use. So there's a different connotation in which the design took place. That's why you will find some CSC not fitting into your thought process, but I think rural India does it in that fashion only. There are also issues people raise saying that, look, how can a remote location, an Naxalite prone area or a tribal area have a viable CSC? I think discussion took place in large number of them. I worked in tribal areas. I know even a tribal area with a hamlet of about 500 people have one shop, a tea shop, and he still runs commercially viable. I can't even imagine how a person with a tea shop and sells almost everything is a commercially viable proposition for those difficult locations. That is the beauty of the scheme, that if we can make tea shop as a viable proposition, ICT is far more than a tea shop. It actually does far more activity than the tea shop. He will sustain it. His model sustenance, his model of income generation is left to him. It is possible. And that's why this equitable distribution of access to communities. That's why 1:6 criteria was done. That's the minimum number. You can set up as many as you want across the country in that format. CSCs for us who are associated is, actually we always keep on saying is not a scheme, not a program, it's a movement. It's a movement of redefining the way people get empowered through the interventions of government and the private sector. CSC is also first public-private partnership model which is uniformly implemented across the country without state, without any exception. See, you will be surprised to know that at the time the CSC system was designed, there was not a single state and single district in the country which did not have a bidder. That means you excited the private community to see the value at the bottom of the pyramid and derive benefit out of it. There have been issues, of course, the private sector who ventured in very aggressively has a problem and so on, and therefore there are limitations of what they thought of and what can happen, but that's how the ecosystem works. The process of G2C delivery is actually a gradual process. That's how it is designed. G2C is not an event. It will take gradually. It's an evolutionary process. It varies from state to state. It sometimes varies from district to district. And it will vary from the leadership at the various cutting edge. But B2C is within his hand, and the community in a village not only need the birth certificate or death certificate, it also needs something else. It needs a facility to educate people. It needs facility to get banking services available to them. See, the recent study which came on banking says that 33% of total debt in rural labor and rural class is from organized sector, is held from money lender. See, if they go to the money lender and take and the rates are very high, 2%, which is about 60% or 1%, that's the rate. Why should he go to the money lender and borrow the money and get on the debt rat if he can create an outlet which will help him in getting it? Both win-win for bank because they're getting that thing out of them, and also the community to be helped. Business correspondent as a CSC will be a game changer for all of us. Not only we are focusing on the BC, we are also trying focusing what can we do as a BF. Ultimate objective is to make a business facilitator. Where BC is a starting point. And we have seen this. See, across the country, as I told you, there are about 5,000 of these centers which are now working in BC. There are good story in Madhya Pradesh. There are 400 run by the State Bank of India, run by ISEC. The last year turnover of the 400 center were 250 crores. That's the business of State Bank of India on all these centers. The one person, see, who earns income out of the BC in Madhya Pradesh is 45,000 rupees in a month. That's the income he generates. In the other part, in J&K, where 700 centers now with business correspondent of J&K Bank, they also do BF activity. The last year commission paid to the VLE of 700 was 5 crore. That was the commission given to by J&K Bank. So story we know about it. We have seen them. Business correspondent gradually evolving into a business facilitator is what actually we want to achieve. And not only we are saying about banks, we are now talking about other part of the financial inclusion process. And other part of the financial inclusion process is, see, what do a man in a village needs? He needs some facility for bank where he can keep his money and he can withdraw at the time of the crisis. The second is he also needs insurance. Some of us who have worked in government has a pension at the time of the retirement. But what about the poor man in a village when he retires, when he becomes old, how does he survive? What is the value for them? Fortunately, Government of India, the new pension scheme is applicable across the spectrum, even to villagers. See, what applies today to a government servant applies equally to the non-government servant. So what we have done is, we now signed an agreement with PFRD and become an aggregator, and we want to have everybody the same facility. It is not going to generate income because the commission pays are very less, but it's going to serve community, and if we can aggressively do it, we've done a great job in achieving the purpose of creating pension similar to what a government servant gets to the community at large in villages. The third is the insurance. See, when his cattle dies or somebody dies, or the family gets into a debt trap and family gets into a situation, can we do something on insurance? So what we have done is we have signed up with the insurance company, and our model of what we are trying to work out is, we are saying that a minimum amount of 2,500 rupees per month should be given to the VLE, because that's the incentive. We are not saying commission basis, so those guys fly-by-night operator that you do sell insurance product is not our model. Our model is our VLE should be able to generate income, and income on a sustainable model basis. Plus, in addition, whatever aggressively he does, he will earn commission on it. So we have negotiated it. We negotiated because of our mandate. It has taken time because our negotiations have been going for a long time, but we have closed that part. We're now integrating with the vertical and trying work out. We'll soon launch that insurance scheme, which will be a good for the VLE to generate income, incentivize people, and serve the community by creating insurance. Insurance, pension, and banking are what our aim is, what our objective. Our CSC should do of one focal point in delivering all these services to citizens and empower the community to lead a good life. And that's what the whole objective is to be. As I said, there are constraints in the banking community. There are constraints of them because they already have an existing CSC appointed, BC appointed through their own format. They will have to work out some arrangement for them. We do appreciate that concern. We're not saying that suddenly get out of all those guys. There are constraints of the service area approach of RBI guideline. In a technology, of course, service area has no meaning because technology says it is meaningless. And we can give you examples. So State Bank in one state, though it's not a lead bank, has single branch, appointed 145 CSCs as BCs. So whenever they want to do it, there's no problem. I can give innumerable examples of Bank of Maharashtra who in all their urban branches want to offload their workload and appoint CSCs. Because offload their work from branch to the CSC of consumers. I'm sure bankers would not like the NRGA worker to go to a bank branch. They don't like. See, after seeing many of the villages and going and talking to them, no bank manager likes the NRGA worker to come to his bank to get a money amount. You can actually do the purpose by allowing that guy to go to CSC. You serve a purpose because your workload is so much. See, not the branch manager likes it. Branch manager normal workload is so much that it's impossible for him to deal with such a large number. So what we are doing is we are actually by creating the CSC as a BC, enabling the branch manager to offload his work and then focus on core business. And the core business will then help the bank to grow. So our whole objective is not to create problem for the bank. Our whole objective of making CSC, BC is to enable banks to understand that we are here as support services for you, enabling to become more efficient, enabling you to derive the benefit of bottom of the pyramid and create a huge business opportunity which may have limitations. And the third is that the apprehension that the kiosk model is one of the best models because kiosk model works on a technology where the frauds are less. Second is our CSC VLE belongs to the same community. See, I went to Jharkhand and saw one of the centers operator who were doing UID work and there was a large queue. So I asked him, I hope you're not taking money from these people because it's to be done free. He told me something which is so good about all applies to all VLE. He said, sir, not only I don't take money, I actually keep them on my shoulders because I make them drink water, keep them in cool places, handle them because they're all from my same community. And if I take money, they will kill me. That is the VLE. A VLE belongs to the same community, is a great asset for the community. The fraud is less because he will not do a mischief. If he does mischief, they will not let him live in that village. That's the beauty of the CSC and the VLE concept, that it enables you to drive a model which is less fraud prone, technology driven, enables you to do a business and therefore enable also him to generate income. We hope there's some doubts we have clarified. There's something I'm willing to share all the stories which have happened across for the CSC. But I think our request is Rajasthan is one of the good states in the country which I keep on giving examples all over when we organize, saying there are two states in the country which have the complete ownership of CSC, Rajasthan and Jharkhand. Rajasthan is the only state is a complete ownership across the spectrum, both politically and administratively. The CSC is going to be the only front end for delivery of services. In many states you will find that some department set up its own front end, some department set up its front end. Slowly and slowly they will all close it, they will come to the CSC, but they still keep on doing it. Rajasthan and Jharkhand are two states and that's why you are very vibrant. You have a very good state, whole support. Mr. Sanjay Malhotra takes a lot of active interest despite his two jobs, one being secretary to CM. And despite that he takes a lot of keen interest. He has an excellent team led by Mr. R.K. Sharma and the new gentleman. I think he's done a phenomenal job. I don't find so much activity and interest in any other state when we go all over the state. You have a fertile ground to lay the foundation of a real good, vibrant model in this country of CSCs. But please don't try and put numbers because we want every CSC to become a BC. We don't want to distinguish between one CSC, BC, and other CSC, not a BC. See, for us, as in the entire ecosystem, a citizen is a citizen. You can't tell him, in this CSC, you will not get BC because this does not fall in the service area of some bank. That is not possible. That is our whole effort is every CSC. We will go along as you go on saying that, look, we have been doing mapping according to the bank requirement. We have been doing all that what they want. End of the day, every CSC should become BC. And I'm sure you will all appreciate that. It's a business opportunity. We are going to go along with you. Whatever you want, we'll support you in many other ways. The service area constraint will go over a period of time. In fact, it went some time before, but it again came back. And I don't think it's a constant technology. You can have branch anywhere in the world. See, in Andaman, the branch was somewhere, located. SBI is still located because you don't deal with the branch, you deal with technology. So you don't have to go to the branch. The only constraint they tell me, the branch manager as per the guideline has to inspect the BC. Physically, it's impossible for branch manager to inspect the BC. It is not possible. He will not be. Even if it's close by, he has to do his own work. See, the branch manager workload today is so much that it's not possible for him to go and do field activity, despite his good intentions, despite his all good intentions. Because the pressures of of workload and the availability of manpower in rural India for branches is a constraint. With these few words, I hope that we will get full cooperation from banks and try and see that create this Rajasthan state as a good BC model. And little more aggressively than the pace has not been to our satisfaction. We are willing to put more resources, more people in supporting you and do whatever you want to do. But let's try and work together in making all CSCs as BC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing an overview of delivery of financial services through CSC network and narrating interesting anecdotes from your personal experiences. I would now request Dr. Satyan David, Regional Director, Reserve Bank of India, to please share an analysis on delivery of financial services across India with Rajasthan's case.
So, respected dignitaries on the dais and other members from Government of India, State Government, NABARD, other bankers, other friends, so it is quite a privilege for me to be on this platform to address you on CSCs and integration of CSCs with the BC financial inclusion model being run by RBI through the banks and in consultation with the Government of India. So to start with, anyone interested in the financial inclusion area or the poverty area, there are basically two reference materials in the recent times. The earlier theories of growth and development were there, Harold Domar theory and other economic theories, where the idea was that if the country invests in capital goods, sets up industries, promotes trade and industry, and automatically the fruits of growth will sink down through different layers and sink down through the different segments of society and sink to the lowest level of poverty. However, that was the assumption. In financial sector reforms, we thought the growth will increase.